Setting up a shop for woodworking projects. How to organize your tools so you can be productive. That's number one. And number two, knowing how the tools work. Setting up a space for woodworking, organizing it and coordinating the situation so you have one operation that moves from one end to the other. So we have numerous tools in woodworking that you wouldn't normally use in construction. A joiner. When you're joining two pieces of material together, you need two straight edges, so that's what the joiner does. I can show you what the basic process of that is. So I'm basically reviewing some of the tools and how to use some of them. Probably the most versatile tool in any shop would be the table saw. Next to the table saw and the joiner and the cutoff saw, the planer, the thickness planer, I find is one of the most useful shop tools ever. The modification I made is to make a tray that allows the material to slide. I'll show you what that looks like. What I did here is I just made a very simple plywood tray that fit in between here. But the key here is this nylon. It's actually not nylon, it's called UHMW, ultra high molecular weight, which is a substitute for nylon. It's smooth, it's slippery forever, it's non-greasy. It allows the softwoods to be pulled through. On these woodworking projects, if you know what the capabilities of the tool is and or how to set up the tool, you can accomplish a few different things, or maybe the next level of finishing that you normally would with just a simple table saw or a circular saw. Once you have your flat sides on your material, what I often do for trim or for baseboards, I could take 3 or 4 pieces, put them all together like this, and run them through the planer all at once and do the edges all at the same time. What this does is then they all end up being the same thickness, and it takes all the saw blade marks off. The one thing about setting up your workshop is you can have multiple tools set up to do different tasks. For example, I have 3 cutoff saws or chop saws set up. I set up one for making 90-degree cuts, one for making 45-degree cuts. I like to just set those saws at that angle and leave it like that, because if you end up switching back and forth, often an error then is built in and you don't start to realize it until later. So that's another tip for a shop. So this is the 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. It's the LS1013 Makita. I found over time with this saw, the settings for 0, they wore. So the accuracy of 0 is gone. So I just set it at 0 with a square and leave it at 0. This is another saw we have, the Makita, the LS1011. It's the early version of the 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. This one works great just for general cutting. What do you need in your workshop to set up? You need the 3 basic tools, which would be a table saw, a cutoff saw of some kind, and a planer. I have 3 cutoff saws, a table saw, a joiner, and a planer. So setting all those tools up in individual situations, you can just rotate around from tool to tool. Using all the shop tools, you can now see how the project starts coming together by using the joiner, the planer, and all your cutoff saws.